Hello everybody, Phil Snyder, GunClashUtah.com. Hey, I've got another great road rage video that occurred in Salt Lake City, Utah. This resulted in one of the driver's death. He was shot in the chest with a single round from a .45 caliber handgun. And so we're going to go over the media case, what I know about it. We're going to do a little analysis on it and give you some tips on how you can prevent these situations from occurring to you. The victim in this case that was shot and killed during the road rage is Patrick Hayes, age 61. The suspect in this case that was arrested was Greg Deboer, age 62. And I'll post a link in the description to the story. So the facts of the case, according to the news sources, there was a road rage that initiated at the Salt Lake City, Utah Kimball Junction exit up there in Summit County, and it terminated at the Ross Creek exit at the Jordanelle campground. This was after 11 p.m., so it was dark. The suspect in this case, after he shot the other person in the chest, he fled the scene, leaving this guy on the road for dead, and he did not report it to the police. The police actually obtained a search warrant and was able to get records from a cell tower that was in the area, and that's how they were actually able to track Mr. Deboer down for questioning. But information, according to Deboer, was what initially started this was Mr. Hayes had cut him off at the exit there, at the Kimball Junction exit, and there was some damage to the victim's vehicle on the rear quarter panels. Deboer actually denies that the vehicle struck, but Deboer did claim that Hayes tried to strike his vehicle, but he maintains there was no the damage to the vehicle. The family of Mr. Hayes said that damage to the car was not there, so that's a big mystery, a missing piece of the investigation. But what happens is, just after 11 p.m., Hayes pulls into the day use entrance to the Ross Creek at the Jordanelle Reservoir. And this is captured by video camera. And then Deboer pulls in behind him. So what happens is Hayes gets out of the vehicle, and the visibility of the video is very difficult because the headlights are covering up a lot of the video. But Hayes gets out, gets verbally confrontational with Deboer. Deboer's maintaining a position in the car. Hayes makes some threats. Do you want to get out? Do you want to get out? Oh yeah, oh yeah. So, it looks like he's provoking it and egging it on. Hayes had a collapsible police baton and a knife in his hand as he approaches Deboer's vehicle. As Hayes walks to the driver's side of Deboer's vehicle, Deboer attempts to hit him with the vehicle, causing Hayes to jump out of the way and move to the passenger side of the vehicle. There's a little bit more commotion going on, and then you hear a shot, a single gunshot being fired, and then you hear Hayes screaming, at which time Deboer leaves him on the side of the road to die, and he does not report it to the police. There was a resident of the county up there that found Hayes' body on the roadside about 10 hours later. So this is in the morning, probably 8 o'clock in the morning. Hayes' vehicle is parked, it's still running, and Hayes is found deceased at the scene. Fast forward to the investigation. The deputies at the Wasatch County Sheriff's Office contact Mr. Deboer at his home. They confront him with the information that they know. Deboer claims it was self-defense, citing that Hayes was approaching his vehicle in an aggressive manner with a knife and a collapsible baton in his hand. When asked where the gun was that was used, Deboer tells the officers that he buried the handgun and the ammunition, so police get a search warrant and recover the gun and the ammunition, which matches ballistically There were no other witnesses in this case. The police did some campaigns to try to alert the public if they saw anything. They had dash cam evidence. Nobody came forward. So this is a case of a one-sided story coming from Mr. Deboer. Unfortunately, Mr. Hayes is not around to tell his side of the story. And so because of that, police could not charge Deboer with murder. There's no, because Deboer claims self-defense and there's nothing to rebut that and there's no other side of the story, the option that the police did, and I don't agree with, is they charged him with obstruction of justice, which is a felony. And I think that's a mistake, and I'll talk about it a little bit later on in the video. So let's do a legal analysis of this use of force and this road rage. In order for Mr. Deboer to be justified in this case, it would have to be established that Mr. Hayes was entering or attempting to enter his vehicle, and Mr. Deboer would have a reasonable fear that he was going to be assaulted, or there was some sort of personal violence that was going to be committed against him, or that Mr. Hayes was going to commit a felony. In this case, we can check that box. Approaching with a weapon in your hand, calling somebody out, and then you try to enter, that box can be checked. This is why interviews are very important during police investigations, okay? There are some clauses under the Defense of Persons law that says if you initially provoke the encounter, or if the other person retreated, or if you were involved in felony crime when this situation occurs, you're not justified. I have some concerns with Mr. Deboer's story. Number one, I don't understand why you shoot somebody and then you leave the scene and you don't report this to the police. You go home and bury the evidence. To me, that just smacks of guilt. And so as an investigating officer, that is going to be in the back of my mind when I'm getting a story from somebody. Why do you hide evidence if you're innocent? I've never had a case in law enforcement where somebody has shot somebody and left them on the side of the road. But apparently there's a loophole in the law that says that you don't have to report your use of force to law enforcement. Yeah, I never even thought about that. Being a law enforcement officer for 30 years, this has never come across. And I thought, well, the legislature is going to change the laws next year. And sure enough, they certainly tried. House Bill 0561, the legislature was trying to put it into the law that a user of force shall report it as soon as they are out of imminent danger. And that bill failed. So apparently, even now, and I would watch this in the future, there's no legal obligation to report your use of force. However, I strongly recommend that you do. The other issue I have is Mr. Hayes pulled in off of the road first, and then Deboer pulled in behind him. If Deboer was a victim of a road rage, why didn't he just drive on? If he saw the guy pull in to an exit at the Jordanelle, why didn't he just keep driving and go home? This would be another great question that the police, I don't know if they did, but they should have asked him, and they should have delved into that a little bit during the investigation. They should have asked him, why didn't you just drive home? And that question right there would probably give a lot of valuable information to investigators. It's been my experience in road rages that usually the bad driver is the victim in road rages. In this case, it's the opposite. If we follow the normal status quo of what I typically see is, and just so you know, the three main causes of road rage are improper lane changes, following too close, and speed. In this case, Hayes, the victim, cut off Mr. Deboer, trying to make this quick lane change to get off of the freeway. So if you look at history, victims are the ones that are usually doing the bad driving, and the aggressors are the ones that are offended by the traffic offense. So that would be like a point against Deboer right there. There was mention of damage on Hayes's vehicles to the back part. Even though Deboer denied striking him with the vehicle, he was saying that Hayes was actually trying to strike him, but he denies that there was any contact. Could it be that if Deboer buried the gun in the evidence, could it be possible that maybe there was damage to his vehicle as well, and he went and maybe paid somebody cash to fix it, or maybe he fixed it himself at home? That piece of information would be another good question for investigators. Because if it could be established that Deboer used his vehicle to strike Hayes after the unsafe lane change that Hayes did, that is a forcible felony. That is aggravated assault with a vehicle. And if that is what started all this, then Hayes would not be justified because he initially provoked the encounter by using his vehicle to strike Hayes. And that is a felony. If you're involved in felony crime, that is one of those where your use of force is not going to be justified. Here's the other thing. At the very end on the video, it doesn't show where Hayes is. It does show him walk to the across the front of the vehicle after Deboer tries to hit him. But it doesn't show whether Hayes tried to enter the car or not. It doesn't show if Hayes maybe saw a gun and tried to retreat from the situation. Again, if there was a effort to retreat, or if it was established that Hayes actually did not try to enter the vehicle, if he was just standing out in front of the vehicle, that would cause a legal issue for Deboer as well. But as I said earlier, because Hayes has not survived, there's only one side of the storytelling. But there's always three sides to a story. Okay, there's Deboer's story, there's Hayes' story, which we don't have, and then there's the truth. And the truth is we take the statements that are made from both people and then other witnesses and things like that, and then we come up with a decision on what happened. Hayes' deadly error was you never get out of the vehicle on a road rage. And the other creepy mistake was he pulled in at almost midnight in a remote area where nobody's at. He pulls at the Jordanelle Ross Creek camping exit where there's no witnesses, there's nobody around. I mean, you take that, you're in a remote area, you're out there late at night where nobody's at, and then you get out of the vehicle with weapons in your hand. Once that adrenaline gets going in these situations, it's hard to come down from that. And this is just one of those cases to where just taking deep breaths and not trying to provoke in any way, just, the better alternative would have been to pull into a busy gas station parking lot where there's usually cameras on the building. There's more lighting, there's people around, there's witnesses around. But you never get out of the vehicle in a road rage. The police made a mistake charging Mr. Deboer with obstruction of justice. And let me tell you why. Because there's no other crime that Mr. Deboer is being charged with because he claims it was self-defense. It's not obstruction of justice, and this case is going to be dismissed in trial. It's either going to be dismissed before it goes to a trial, or he's going to be found not guilty. Because an element of obstruction of justice is that you are trying to hide or conceal evidence, as in this case is, he buried the gun, to conceal conduct that constitutes a crime. Well, because the police don't have conduct that constitutes a crime otherwise, it's going to get thrown out. And where's the justice for the family in that? There's no statute of limitations on murder or manslaughter, okay? There's not. So the police, if I would have been the police in this matter, I would have approached the family and I would have said, hey, there's no statute of limitations on murder. Why don't we pause this? Because if we go with this obstruction charge to get your pound of flesh, it's probably not going to hold up in court and it's going to get tossed. Your better remedy would be to sue Mr. Deboer in civil court for a civil wrongful death lawsuit, and you can still do that. That is something separate. In a use of force case, you always have a criminal penalty, potential criminal penalty, and a civil penalty as in a lawsuit. And because civil cases have a lower standard of proof, which is a preponderance of the evidence, the weight of the evidence, versus a beyond a reasonable doubt standard, in this particular case, there's a more chance of success in a civil trial. And in the civil trial, the family is going to get their justice because Mr. Deboer will be put on trial. Kind of like that legal remedy that would actually be better in this case. So I don't think the police should have charged this obstruction of justice charge. I think they just should have told the family that there's no statute of limitations, and then hopefully some evidence can come forward sometime, and Deboer, if the facts presented itself, could be charged with this. Activate your dash cam if you have one. Dash cams are fantastic evidence in criminal cases. That is what we call direct evidence in a criminal proceeding. Direct evidence in criminal proceedings is your strongest evidence versus circumstantial evidence. So admissions by suspects in interviews, videotapes, eyewitness accounts of things that happened, those are direct evidence. Don't ever make eye contact in a road rage. If you do something, whether you're right or whether you're wrong, it doesn't matter. You know, if somebody's, flipping you the bird or they're shaking their fist at you, just, look forward and just try to drive away. And you just get off the exit as soon as you can. If they follow you, just make sure that your doors are locked. Get 911 on the phone, put it on speaker. You can talk to the dispatcher and try to get the police on the way. But if it's a situation to where the police can't respond right away, just go to that public place where there's cameras out there, and that's going to be your best chance. You don't want to ever be found provoking in road rages, because if you're found to be provoking, or if you're found to be committing a crime yourself due to your anger issues, then you're going to lose your presumption of reasonableness. And lastly, it's very interesting to me that there's a loophole in the law that says, as I mentioned earlier, there is no legal requirement to report your use of force to law enforcement. I think that's crazy. People are probably afraid. Mr. Deboer was probably afraid of incriminating himself because he probably, a guilty person, knows they did something wrong. My advice is to report situations as soon as the immediate danger is over with. But what do you have to say to police? If they say you need to come into the police station for an interview, do you have to do it? Do you have to take a polygraph test? Do you have to write a statement? You don't have to do any of that. You have the Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself. And if you're involved in a situation like this, there's nothing wrong with telling the officer that you would like to have an attorney present with you during any questioning. It's as simple as that. Always hire a lawyer in these situations. Anyway, if you like the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. There seems to be a number of these that we can learn from. And hit that notification bell and you'll get all future notifications on upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.